Welcome back to my channel. Christine and Meri finally leaving Kody has given us some absolute bombshell television over the past few seasons. But the storyline that truly explains decades of emotional chaos is how Janelle Brown entered this family. And I need all my fellow Janelle stans, yes, myself included, to take a deep breath, set aside our biases, and put on our objective lenses. Because sometimes I feel like our unbothered queen should have been a little more bothered by certain things. For years, Janelle and Kody's marriage was framed as a logical, if unconventional, step following Kody and Meri's wedding. After all, polygamy was always the plan, and Meri supposedly knew that. But the reality is far messier. Overlapping relationships, crossed boundaries, and some truly wild family entanglements. I mean, Janelle and Kody may be divorced now, but they're technically still siblings. Let that sink in. This recent tell-all teaser has started peeling back the curtain on just how chaotic those early dynamics really were. We know Janelle was the first divorced woman Kody married, but what's less widely known is that Janelle's first husband was actually Meri's brother. And then there's the absolute audacity of Kody and Janelle's initial wedding plans, because choosing to marry your ex-husband's sister's husband on her birthday, that's next-level diabolical behavior. And I'm honestly disappointed in Janelle for that one. The true origin story of the Browns' polygamous family is far more complicated than the show ever admitted. So today, we're breaking down the chaotic, emotionally loaded beginnings of Janelle and Kody's so-called spiritual marriage. If we want to understand the current resentment, the coyote past battles, and the total collapse of two 30-year relationships, we have to examine the deeply flawed foundation this family was built upon. The red flags weren't ignored. No. They were fully acknowledged and then stitched directly into the family's structure. Before Janelle ever became Kody's second wife, she was married to Adam Barber, Meri's brother on the show. This detail is usually treated like some odd little footnote, something brushed past as quickly as possible. Janelle often referred to Meri and Kody simply as her polygamous friends, downplaying the much more complicated reality that Meri had once been her sister-in-law. More recently, Janelle offered additional context, describing her marriage to Adam as a starter marriage that lasted from 1988 to 1990, with only about 6 months of actual cohabitation before things fell apart. But the timeline here is critical. Janelle met Kody through Meri before her divorce from Adam was finalized. In the family's book, Janelle admitted she was intrigued by the Barber family's fundamentalist beliefs, while Adam, her husband at the time, showed little interest. So as her marriage drifted away from polygamy, Janelle found herself increasingly drawn toward the ideology and toward the charm and charisma of her sister-in-law's new husband, Kody. Janelle even attended Kody and Meri's wedding in April of 1990 while she was still legally married to Meri's brother. Her divorce from Adam wasn't finalized until later that year. That's not a clean break, and I'll never be convinced otherwise. This reads like a messy, overlapping transition that put Meri in an incredibly uncomfortable position. Imagine watching your sister-in-law, in the middle of divorcing your brother, start forming a bond with your husband. Meri recently admitted how hard this was, simply saying there were a lot of emotions. And honestly, that feels like the understatement of the century. This wasn't just the addition of another sister wife, which would already be emotionally complex under ideal circumstances, and the entanglement doesn't stop there. As Janelle became more serious about joining the Brown family, another bizarre connection emerged. Her mother, Cheryl, worried that her daughter was getting involved in a cult, so she went to meet Kody's family to investigate. But instead of pulling Janelle away, Cheryl ended up marrying Kody's father, Win. Their wedding took place just 3 months before Janelle and Kody's spiritual marriage in 1993. Suddenly, Kody's dad became Janelle's stepfather, and Kody became her stepbrother. As Meri later pointed out, it's something that understandably unsettles a lot of people. Another deeply unconventional layer the show tended to minimize. Then there's Kody and Janelle's wedding date, a small detail that reveals a lot about the power dynamics at play. Meri claims they originally planned to get married on her birthday. Their reasoning: it's no big deal, we'll just celebrate it another day. It might sound minor, but that move spoke volumes. It showed a staggering lack of consideration for Meri's feelings and her role as the first wife, almost like they were deliberately overriding her significance. Reportedly, It was Kody's own mother who had to step in and shut the idea down. The wedding itself was deeply isolating for Janelle. Her decision to embrace polygamy caused a major rift within her family. She later shared that when she married Kody, her relatives were furious, and most of them stopped speaking to her. Aside from her mother, no one from Janelle's side attended the ceremony. She didn't wear a traditional white dress, choosing a green one instead, though for years, I genuinely thought it was black. The decades-long tension between Meri and Janelle was never just about clashing personalities in tight living spaces. It was rooted in a deep history of betrayal and disrespect, a dynamic that, frankly, began with Janelle. Meri felt that Janelle had crossed an unforgivable line, moving from her brother straight to her husband. She also felt that Kody brought Janelle into the family without ever securing Meri's true, uncoerced consent. And honestly, it's pretty messed up that the show mostly frames Meri and Janelle's long history of tension as simply Meri being difficult to live with, instead of acknowledging the deeper reality of what it means to suddenly cohabitate with someone who is also sleeping with your husband. Kody and Janelle prioritizing their new relationship over Meri's feelings, perfectly symbolized by the birthday wedding plan, set the tone for how Kody would manage his family for the next 3 decades. It established a pattern of unilateral decision-making, where he bulldozed forward while expecting his wives to quietly absorb the emotional consequences. Janelle's famous independence and unbothered demeanor, which many fans admire, myself included, seems to have been forged through isolation from the very start. Her own family had distanced themselves, and she entered a plural marriage where the first wife was already understandably resentful of her presence. That left Janelle with little choice but to become self-reliant. I think this history plays a massive role in the family's eventual collapse. When Kody imposed his strict pandemic rules and demanded total obedience, he was met with a Janelle who had been operating independently for decades. Janelle was never going to choose him over her children, her dogs, or honestly, even her favorite pair of pajama pants, especially when he hadn't been a consistently present partner for years. The practical independent partnership Janelle believed she had was suddenly dismissed. Kody labeled her the Teflon Queen, but from Janelle's perspective, she was simply doing what she had always done, managing her own household because experience had taught her that no one else would. Kody certainly wasn't prioritizing her kids. The final split in 2022 wasn't sudden. It was simply the last wall collapsing in a house built on quicksand. Janelle eventually received a spiritual release from Kody, something she didn't realize she needed until it happened. Their relationship had always been rooted in a messy divorce, blatant disregard for the first wife's emotional well-being, and an unbelievably tangled web of family connections. The drama we're seeing now, the battles over money, land, and loyalty, isn't new. It's the inevitable eruption of resentments that have been simmering since 1993. And that's why Kody trying to paint Janelle as the mastermind behind some shady backdoor deal feels especially messed up. He knows full well that Janelle and Meri have a fragile history. So why not cast Janelle as the villain to deflect attention from his and Robin's behavior? I'm honestly glad the show is finally unpacking Janelle and Kody's origin story, because this feels like long overdue vindication for Meri. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Check out my podcast, Mostly Harmless. The link is in the description. And follow me on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, Reality Squad. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Have a great day and much love. Faye!